Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here with an interview with Alex the Konk. I am the cryptid Roman, finally out of my cave today. So here to speak with you, kind of, acknowledge you. My favorite thing to do, I acknowledge him.
All right, we got the shot.
You're good, Rowan.
You're good, dog. You can stop acknowledging. We gotta continue off the bit.
Bro, we got a video to record, brother.
Dog, what are you doing?
He's dead. He's dead.
All right.
It's like a guy staring at the sun. He's been staring at the sun too long.
All right. Come on.
And if that check bounces,
No.
so do you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of 4.5 Marks. I'm very excited to be interviewing our next guest here. He is the one, the only, the OTK, the Konk.
How's it going?
We acknowledge you here.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you to be on. I'm so excited for this and to learn more about you. Mm-hmm. And of course, for everybody out there, know more about you as well. I know a little bit of like how you got into what you're doing because we've talked about that like at the shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many people actually know how you started like doing ring announcing and stuff. So we're gonna go through that, but mm-hmm. we're gonna go through kind of standard interview questions first because I feel like that's a good way to kind of break in, start learning some stuff.
Absolutely.
But before that, we gotta talk about it. Did the Marks start the Konk?
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
Because it all started when I was, keeping up to date on all the Marks videos, and I believe it was a recoil and a recap, and I remember Jib saying something of acknowledge the Konk. So I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. And then I was going through some photos that was taken in February. Mm-hmm. And there was a picture that went around of me holding up the ones. So I kind of put 2 to 2 together. We take the picture, and we have the Konk. And we put them both together. And the way that it has gone so over, after just, I'd say 2-3 months mm-hmm. of putting it out there, like, let's put this on t-shirts, let's make this a thing. Yeah. 2-3 months later, and it's so over.
It's so over. It's like, it's those little random things in wrestling, like LA Knight's, yeah. The what chant, like mm-hmm. it's all these random things I love about wrestling that get over. But let's get into some questions for you. So, sure. How did you discover wrestling, and like what's like your earliest memory of wrestling?
So I would say how I discovered professional wrestling. It was actually from a new kid that I went to school with. Mm-hmm. I would say is about 8-9 years old. And we had a new kid that come into town, and he was wearing a lot of WWE, mainly John Cena stuff. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, the shirts at the time caught my eyes. 2 weeks later, I went to his birthday party, and he had everything decked out WWE. So I was like, okay, this is really cool. So I ended up asking him, what is WWE? Who is this guy that's on your shirt that you always talk about? Telling me it was who John Cena was. Had no idea who he was. Mm-hmm. And, showed me some clips on YouTube, and we started watching. We would watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and I feel like 2 weeks after that, I've just been constantly just on it, watching it, and just fell in love with it.
You're just hooked.
I was so hooked. Didn't even know that was a thing, and I was like, this is what I've been missing out on.
So there's something I've seen like around recently that like I'm curious. So I'm gonna ask you a question, but like who was champion? Like when you were like watching, was it John Cena or who was it?
I think actually yes, it was John Cena, okay. If I remember right. I have to go back on it. I think 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like his like he had multiple reigns. That's where a lot of his reigns racked up was during those years.
Yes.
So
can I remember him and R-Truth with a rival? So yes, he was champion at the time. Yep.
So moving on for that. So So I'm guessing John Cena was one of your favorites.
At the beginning, yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean that was the only one I knew about,
Right.
just the start of it, and obviously being the fan favorite, so I was pretty much just on with his side, and
Right.
pretty much just John Cena was my favorite, if anybody asked. And then obviously throughout the years, it's grown more of like, okay, now this guy's my favorite wrestler. This guy's not my favorite.
So who is your current favorite then?
Man. Honestly, I have to go with Seth freaking Rollins. That is like
Good choice.
an top favorite.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a second one, I would say LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Great choice.
Yes.
Man, I had seen something where it's like, it's tell like what era of like wrestling like you like someone's into by like who was champion at that time. So like John Cena, like I mean, so when I started watching wrestling, we have a little bit of an age gap between you and me. But I was in high school pretty much when I started getting into wrestling, like middle school, high school. Middle school. So when I started watching wrestling, and John Cena was champion as well, but Batista was world heavyweight champion, and so that was my. I still remember specifically. It was the Road to WrestleMania 23 that I started watching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was right after Elimination Chamber, so it was that build right after
there.
2 Mania. That I
Right.
started watching, and I was like, man, this is crazy, and not like I'd watch like Lucha Libre and stuff like growing up because that's what my mom liked like Lucha Libre, so that's what I watched. And then with so you watch wrestling, you kind of further your knowledge and like started learning about other wrestlers and then probably other companies too, right?
At the time, for like I'd say for a little bit of years, it was just WWE. That's all I watched, and that was the only one that came up on my cable at the time.
Okay, and so how did you start to discover like your local scene? Because now, of course, like we mentioned, you are the ring announcer for Magnum Wrestling. So how did you like discover local wrestling and Magnum?
I would say around, I was like 15, 16. That's when I started exploring more of the world of professional wrestling, what there was around the independent scene, which I had no idea of that years ago until then. And yeah, my very first independent professional wrestling show that I've discovered was actually Magnum Wrestling. It was Magnum Pro at the time, and I remember it was at the Pacific Junction at the Harley Davidson parking lot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my very first one.
What was it about like that show that like stood out to you where it's like, man, this is cool?
I feel like the energy of the crowd and the way that they interact with the crowd, because I think that was like really cool, and like everybody was just like really into it as of like, the big thing.
Right.
So kind of just having like that feeling of like the excitement that it was, the energy that there was, and it was like, it was pretty big, but it wasn't like as big, but the energy was brought to like if it was big. And yeah, I'd say the energy that the wrestlers brought to the crowd and the way that the crowd interacted with them, the interaction with both.
Do you remember like anybody on that card that you were like that you remember like seeing, or anybody that like really like captivated you?
I remember JC Slater. He was on the show. I can't remember who he was facing. I know Red Wing and Devin Thomas. They were in a tag match. Yeah, they were in a tag match.
Wait, like as partners?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they were a tag match. And then I think in the main event, Jeremy at the time, Snowflake, was in the main event, and I believe that was in a tag match as well. And he was teaming up with Adam Rose.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, he was teaming up with Adam Rose in the main event of that match. So, at that time, I thought that was really cool because I didn't know that they could bring, big stars into a company like that.
Yeah.
So when I didn't know anything of that, and when I heard, I was like, okay, I know who that name is, and I looked up, I was like, oh, he used to be in WWE, and I thought that was the coolest thing, that they were able to bring somebody, big from WWE and bring him into a local
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so when I started going to, I had heard about Magnum years ago when they started doing shows, when they were doing shows out of Sokol, and I had I never went, even though I like lived up the street from it. And I just never went because I never knew, and I was also like in high school, so I never had money. I was also busy with high school, so
Sure.
And then I also didn't realize that they're based in Omaha. I thought they were just like a company that toured and came here. So that was the other reason, because I wasn't informed, and it wasn't until I met Donnie through my job, and he talked about Magnum, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I still never went. And then finally, my nephew started getting into watching wrestling. I took him to what was known as Now This Is Wrestling, which I later learned Logan was one of the people who ran that show.
Yes, he did.
And he really liked it. And then I went to the next show that I heard of, which was Magnum, and they had, and that was in like February of 2020. And so, I've just been hooked and ever since I've been trying to go and wanting to go and everything. So.
Yeah, I'll say that's how exactly it was for me, because at the time I believe it was end of middle school, beginning of high school, so like I try to go whenever I could, but then now had the job, had the car, and I was like, okay, now we're making more, we're gonna come up to Omaha, and I only lived like at the time 45 minutes away from Omaha, so I try to make it as much as I could to it.
To every show and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
And like we talked about like our local scene a lot in our videos, and it's just like it's truly a whole other experience, and you just have to be there.
Yes.
So with that being said, like at what point or was there a turning point or a moment that you're like, I want to be involved in wrestling?
I mean, from years of knowing it, I think if I remember right, of knowing that's what I wanted to do, I would say it was like 12, 13 years old, having the mindset of knowing, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up? And that was one of the things I wanted to do was, obviously every kid, they want to be a wrestler. But then obviously when you get older, you realize, all the injuries that they have and all the bumps they take and whatnot. Okay, it'd be cool, but maybe there's something else that we can do.
Yeah.
So like just overall, just being involved in a professional wrestling company, whether if it's big, small, independent, whether if it's the ring crew, the ring announcer, production, just anything. Because I pretty much, growing up, made professional wrestling my life and revolved around it, and that was pretty much my safe and comfort whenever I wanted it, and that's what I revolved it around.
Very cool. So no like I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but like no intention ever of like trying to become a wrestler or anything like that? No intent, no try?
Well, I had I'd say like a couple months of training early years. I'd say like a few years ago, had a little bit of training up there. But just knowing like my physique and like,
sure.
I was like, imagine a scrawny, skinny guy like me going up against some big dude. Yeah, I'd be done.
Yeah, that does happen. Imagine you get booked against Red Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
No, that'd be an instant squash match right there.
Yep, exactly. Who were you training, or like what were you training at?
At the time, it was when it was Championship Fitness, and they had Nate, Jason Strife, God rest his soul. He had a ring on one side of the building, and then TJ had his MMA on the other side. So they shared the building, and that's where we did some of the training there at the time.
Very cool. Was there like anybody from your training class that is wrestling now?
No.
Okay.
But I know previous class were Jameson McGregor, Brixton Nash, and I remember McGregor coming in a couple times, kind of watching out and seeing how we do and just get more training just for himself. So some of the guys from the previous class would come in, do some drills and stuff like that with us.
You made the attempt for wrestling.
Yeah.
Realized if you go against Red Wing, it's not gonna be a fun time.
No.
So how did you start like ring announcing? Where how does that fit in? How does that come in? How did you get into that?
I guess it was one of those things. I mean, just the random times that I would, in the shower, on the way to work, on the way home from work, I would act like if I'm in a WWE ring announcing, and so it kind of came to my thought, maybe this is something I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, not to interrupt you, but like in the shower, the acoustics are the best. So ring announcing, singing, that's always the spot.
Yep.
It's always the spot to be.
Yes, yeah, and so I just kind of like mess around a little bit and do that, and then I realized maybe this is something I can do. So I would practice more on it and try, and then I was like, if a spot ever comes up open for it, I give that a try. That way, like I'm, somewhat involved in it, out in the, I guess you would say, the spotlight.
Sure.
A little bit, yeah. Because that's always just been a dream of mine, just wanting to be out there in front of, whether if it's 20, 30, hundreds, millions of people, it don't matter.
How was it that you actually became announcer for Magnum?
So I had some of the people know me from just coming into the training class and just watch and whatnot. And then when we were in the middle of the return of Magnum, me and McGregor, we had some similarities, and we used to live in the same small town.
Oh, really?
Yes, we did. So that's how we kind of connect and started talking. And then I was just kind of reaching out to him on want to find a way to put my foot in the door, because at the time they didn't have no training, nothing. So I was like, just want to see if I could find a way to do something. How can I, put my foot in the door? And at the time, just starting of it was just setting up the ring, tearing it down, kind of just getting to know everybody, them getting to know who I was. And then there was just talks of me wanting to ring announce and want to try it. So I would send, the trial videos to him. He would send it to the higher ups, and then came I'd say 3-4 months after, gave it a try, July 2023, when I shared a show with Pete, and I was just kind of like my first trying it out there in front of everybody.
I remember that because there's a picture posted, I think it was on McGregor's social media page, where he was like, I think fixing your tie or something. And I was like, who is this? Like, what's going on here? And then I didn't see you for a bit, and then I just saw you all the time after that.
Yep. And then my first solo was at Friday the 13th, 3 months after that.
At that Raskiller show.
The Raskiller show. Yep, the same location.
Rascala.
Raskiller.
Yeah. So, what you've done it's been, more over a year now that you've been doing ring announcing.
A little over a year. Doing it solo on my own. Next month will be a year.
So with over a year now doing it solo, what I guess what has been first I'm asked this, what has been one of your greatest challenges in ring announcing? What's something like you don't think about that you have to do differently or overcome in ring announcing that people don't normally think about? I know.
Honestly, no, you're good. Honestly, I feel like there's just a little bit of everything to know, because there's some stuff that, I kind of just watch through how some of the others do it in WWE and, AEW, try and learn off of them. But then when you get advice from P, when you get advice from Charlie, there's more that I didn't know of to kind of help grow and progress in what I do. So I take a little bit of their knowledge and put it with mine and kind of put them together, learning from what, the big leagues and what they're giving me advice of, and put them together.
Okay. And then what has been, so 2 questions here. Who's your favorite person to announce? And then what has been your favorite match that you've announced? Because, I know, I know one that I feel would be a big deal for me that you did, but I don't know if it is or not, and so we can talk about that off camera. But
Okay.
but I'm just curious.
So I have a lot of favorites that I announce.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly my top. We'll put them in the group. Everybody from Bulletproof Legacy, the Crucible, Nino, Fowler. I really enjoy announcing.
So you're one of them. You're like Carlos. You just like the Bulletproof Legacy.
Yeah, I was born the same. I see it now.
I know there's something when I announce. There's something when I announce them. It's just like I know that it gets them going. It gets me going.
Yeah.
I'd say another favorite too. Kid Sackett.
Yeah.
That's that's an interesting one when it comes to every show. And
yeah, is there one of, because he obviously gives you like random statements, random facts, like what or accomplishments. Is there one that like you remember that stands out to you from Kit?
I feel like all of them, honestly.
The one that gets me, and I had a sign for it, and it was up here in the studio, was that him fighting a swordfish and winning, and that's why he was banned from SeaWorld.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a sign that said, because we went through it the other day, it was a sign that said, that swordfish wants round 2.
Yep. So round 2, Kit. Yep. So that one gets me. And so what, match-wise, is there a specific match that you were, I guess, really happy to have announced?
I do have 2 of them. Recent this year, we had the over the top Rumble match. That one, I feel like that was my biggest proud moment that I was able to announce that one. The other one, it kind of touches the heart. It's Mike Bennett versus Jay Fowler for the Magnum Wrestling Championship.
That's a good one.
That one really hits the heart because if you look on my Instagram, there's a picture of Fowler or Mike Bennett and Strife fighting for the Magnum Wrestling Champion. I was sitting as a fan ringside, and I have a picture with Mike Bennett. And then fast forward 2 years later, I'm announcing him facing Fowler for the Magnum Wrestling Championship.
And that match was a banger.
That was a really good match.
That was a banger.
But I feel like that is my all-time favorite. I don't think, as of right now, anything can beat that.
Yeah.
As my favorite match that I've announced.
It's a great match. By the time the video airs, I'm confident in saying that is one of the nominees for Match of the Year, because that was incredible.
Oh, it was a great match. I feel like any time those two, when they go against each other, you're expected. Great match. Yeah,
one of the first times they went against each other, I wasn't able to go to that show, and then they went against each other. It was back to back. They had one here in Omaha, and then they Magnum did a show in Ankeny, I want to say.
Yes.
Yep. And I wanted to go, but I didn't, and I also didn't realize how far Ankeny was. So I was like, man, I can't go.
Yeah.
But now that's cool. So with that being said, who's a wrestler on the independents right now that you would like to ring announce and call, or is there a dream match that you'd like to ring announce?
Honestly, there's a lot of them on the independent scene that I feel like it'd just be an honor to announce. I feel like one, if he ever came back, Devin Thomas, that'd be one I'd really like to announce.
Okay.
I've always been a Devin Thomas fan. Yeah. Everybody's booing him, and I'm over here cheering for him. I don't know. There's something about the heels.
Yeah.
I'll cheer for the heels more than the baby faces. There's I'd say there's a lot of them. Anybody and everybody.
Okay.
But yeah, with it still being fresh, new, just starting out, there's a whole lot to know who there is that I can announce.
I will say this, I watched a lot of wrestling. There's a reason I'm the mark. I'm a mark. There's a reason I'm the head mark. I watch a lot of wrestling. I live, breathe, and I'll die for wrestling if anything. And I would have never known that you've only been doing this for like a year. You're very good. You're very confident in your voice, and it's great to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What is a goal for you that you have in wrestling? I guess is a question I have. Like, is there something else you'd like to do? Is there anything you'd I don't know. Is there anything else in the pipeline that you're working on or anything?
I feel like just for anybody that's in the independent that we work, whether if it's ring announce or wrestling, we want to be, with the big leagues, whether it's WWE, TNA, AEW, we want to be there full time. So I feel like for ring announcing, that'd really be a dream to just, even if it's just one night, to just appear on the show and do a whole show. But I mean, just mainly just a dream, just anything, just wanting to work for one of the companies. I feel like that'd be a really like crossing a bucket list off and a really, really big dream.
That'd be cool. I always ask this because like a lot of the people we interviewed do, of course, things outside of wrestling. Is there anything that you do? Any projects, anything like that?
So right now we're trying to find more of what to do because, like I said, wrestling has been my life entirely. There's new stuff that I'm discovering myself and just wanting to do. Big ones that I like to do besides just wrestling, I love going to concerts, metal, rock concerts. Absolutely love going to those.
See, that's something like what if you just announced like the bands and stuff for like a festival?
That would still be cool.
That'd be cool.
I feel like just announcing for anything like a big festival, big wrestling promotion. I feel like just something big.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Well, here let's talk about music. We got all the time in the world here. I've seen your social media. You post a lot about bands and everything. What's one of your favorite concerts you've been to, and what's a concert you're excited to go to next?
I feel like one that really caught me on and just fell in love with it. It was my first time going. It was a Shinedown concert in Lincoln, April 2023. I've been listening to their music for years, listening it to on the radio when I was a kid.
Yep.
And so I was able to go to one of their shows. It was From Ashes to New, 3 Days Grace, and then headlining Shinedown. Man, did they put on a concert.
I mean, I bet. I love...
Yeah.
Jabrim will tell you, I love 3 Days Grace.
Yes. Another good concert that I've been to, Skillet. They never disappoint. Never disappoint. Same with them and Shinedown. Like, those are like my top two. Like, I can know word for songs you put on the radio. I'm jamming out to it.
What's the concert you're excited to go to next? There's a lot.
Next year, there's going to be a lot of concerts coming to Omaha. I'd say next one that I'm really excited to go to, they'll be Breaking Benjamin at the Stir Cove.
Yeah.
With Stained. Very excited for that one. And I thank my girlfriend for getting me into Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Breaking Benjamin's so good.
Yes.
I've listened to it for
I knew the ones, like the two songs, Diary of Jane and I Will Not Bow.
Yep. But there's so many others.
So many others. We went to a concert in Des Moines earlier this year in April, and kind of just went, and after that night, listening to like the rest of their songs. I love it. So that one in May, I'm very excited to go to that one.
Perfect.
And then Creed in April or in August in Lincoln. Very excited for that one too.
Very good.
But yeah, there's a lot of them next year. I'm just like,
there's so many concerts coming to Omaha, Nebraska. It's crazy. We got Lincoln Park coming. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy. I want to go, but tickets are already gone. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna go.
Yeah. There's a lot I want to go. And I'm just like, okay. Well, do we put, gonna miss out? Do we go to WWE events or do we go to concerts?
Yeah,
But some of the bands, they got it. You know, some of the bands, they only come like once every, so often.
Yeah.
And wrestling, they'll come every 6 months. So I'm like, I can give next year kind of, just a little bit. But yeah, there's so many concerts. I'm like, I got to go to all of them.
Perfect. Well, we're here at the end. Is there anything you want to mention? Anything you want to bring up? Anything you want to talk about? I know next month's show is going to be crazy.
Oh, very excited.
So we got the big show, the big match right now is DeSantis and Falcone against Logan and Alan Shepard. How do you think Logan's going to do?
I think he'll do good. I got confidence in him. The way that he took down Dasani in December, I feel like he's got it. I'm very excited. It'll be new because he's always just been production.
Yep.
So now seeing him step into a ring, as a best friend and a coworker, that'll be really excited to see.
Perfect.
And being able to announce him too.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool.
Yep, so that'll be very cool. And then seeing Dasani in a ring again. I remember him and TJ.
Yep.
It was a hair for hair match. And,
that was one of the first shows I went to.
Yep. But guess we'll see how that match goes, but I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be an insane time. Tickets are pretty much sold out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think as of the recording, maybe very few GAs left.
Yeah. So by the time this video goes out,
there may not be any more.
Yeah, better hope someone selling your tickets.
Right. But the fact that we sell out under 72 hours, one match announced, one match. I mean, hell, even the night from Cold Hearted, we had almost like half gone before the end of the night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to plug? Anything you want to say? Any messages? Anything at all that you'd like to end off with? Socials? Anything like that? Where can people follow you?
Well, do want to say, there's local stuff. Go support your locals. It's once you really know what there is out there, you'll be hooked on for life on stuff. There's so much out there in the world that some people don't even know about or, haven't heard of or seen of. So definitely just locals for anything, local professional wrestling, independent, professional wrestling in general now, it's getting hot. It is the time to invest in it, watch some of it, attend to some events. Even if you haven't been to one in a while, never heard of it, now's the time to really get invested into it.
Perfect. And where can people follow you and buy a shirt?
So we have shirts at the merch table at each show. So if you're coming to January, there'll be some very limited shirts available. Unfortunately, the Acknowledge the Konk shirts sold out, but there will be more coming. There will be more in the making starting next month. And there's some just microphone Alex Konkin shirts, 8x10s, trading cards. We still got some of those.
Right here, 8x10 right here.
So make sure you come check those out. Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me at alexj.konk. And on Facebook, Alex Konkin.
Perfect. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on. I was very excited for this, so I'm glad that you had the time to be on. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you know the outro?
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If that check bounces, so do you.
Okay, bye.